Hello Oracles. Well, Tesla stock crashes over 8.5% while the entire market rallies. We kind of anticipated this. This is what we have been talking about ever since we got the delivery numbers missing expectations. Again, Tesla still hit record delivery numbers. So the fact that they missed a number that analysts thought that they should hit just means that that's why the market came down. It doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with Tesla in particular. Tesla still beat record numbers. They are still moving in the right direction. Long term, Tesla is still going to be great. Near term, we are just facing these things because the market decided that that's what the number should have been. They didn't hit that number. We sold off accordingly. So Tesla missed the numbers by 5.5% for deliveries. We ended up falling 8.5% today. We have discussed before that the market usually overreacts to things. This was that overreaction. Looking at the other stats for the day, the RSI is now down to right at that 30 level. Now, just a reminder that the RSI, anything under 30 usually means that it's oversold and tends to lead to some buying pressure coming back in. Doesn't have to be, but that's usually an indicator. So looking at the levels that we are at, we had that 245 area that was going to be a support. We broke a little bit below that. So we're right below that support level right now. Levels of support below us now are 233, 224, and 207. And that 207 level is the low of the year when we hit those levels at $621 back in June. So those are the levels I'm looking at below us. There's no more gaps to fill that I can see. I'm going to dive in a little bit further, but from what I can see based upon from split in 2020 through now, there are no more gaps below us. I do think that there are some gaps prior to the split before 2020. Don't know how far back we're going to go with that, but as of right now, everything is cleared up when it comes to gaps. So where do we move from here? So looking at the fact that this number here that we dropped down is a fundamental number. That's the number one thing I always look at are the fundamentals. So the whole stock market is going to give us this kind of baseline of what the stock price should be, and that is going to be based on fundamentals. Well, yesterday we got the delivery numbers. That was a fundamental number that was lower than expected. So the price that we were trading at, despite the fact that it is a number that the analysts had come up with, that was still the number that we were running off of. Deliveries are what is going to drive revenue for the company. Those delivery numbers came in lower than what the market expected, so therefore the price came down. Now we're going to be trading at these lower levels. We can kind of move anywhere because the next fundamental piece of information we are going to get is going to be earnings. There may be something oddball coming up, but the only thing that we can see coming up for fundamentals is going to be the earnings. So right now we may fluctuate up and down. Again, we've now hit that lower number with the RSI, so we may go up a little bit tomorrow. Kind of with the overreaction today, some people may just buy in tomorrow because the prices are suppressed. We'll see. Some people are saying that we are going to come down to the low 200s. Some of that is based upon the fact that we're thinking that the macro environment and the overall economy is going to pull down. That in turn would pull Tesla down further as well. So we're in our new trading range. We're now at our new low in that $240 to $245 level. That's kind of where the base is at the moment. We're just going to monitor it from here. Again, nobody knows what the future is. These lower levels, what I'm looking at. If we go back up again, we've got to break through that 245. Volume did come in at 92 million shares trading hands today. That is higher than normal. And again, as we have been talking about before, in order to break bigger levels, you usually need to have higher volume. Well, we got that higher volume, and unfortunately, it was a lower level that we broke. It happens, not a huge deal. We can easily get it in the opposite direction as well, but we're going to need to get some momentum coming back in. And again, that next fundamental piece to push us in that direction is going to be earnings. But before we get to earnings, we do have the CPI and PPI data that are coming out, and we are also going to be having the Twitter deal that is going to be coming out. So we have to get through those three pieces next before we can really start moving up. I think a big catalyst, if for some reason, Delaware decides that Elon does not have to buy Twitter and Elon buys back into Tesla stock, that could be a massive catalyst coming in. If Tesla comes out with earnings and their earnings does give a surprise beat on the EPS and margin line, I think that will give us a nice catalyst going forward. Because don't forget, when the deliveries come down, it brings everybody's valuation down on the company. That's why the stock price pulled down to where it is today. So if Tesla comes out and everybody's numbers were like, oh, well, while deliveries were low, but their margins came in higher than expected, that's going to bring EPS up. That's going to be a surprise EPS beat. That will push the stock price higher. Then, if we do get those good numbers coming in and Tesla has some good free cash flow coming in, their fundamentals are stronger, there's a good strong chance that the S&P is going to upgrade their credit rating to investor grade. That is the next big catalyst that's going to push us up. These are things I'm looking at, and I think at this point, if we can get a nice rally going, bouncing off of this bottom here, if this truly is going to be the bottom, if we get that rally going, we may end up breaking through those higher levels with the earnings and the S&P upgrade. But again, a lot can happen between now and then. I mean, think about it. Just 2 weeks ago, we were pushing that $313 level, and nobody was thinking, oh my gosh, can we pull down to 247? That seems almost impossible. And now here we are sitting under $243. Things can move very quickly, especially in a market that we are in right now. So these are just, again, the things that I pay attention to. And don't forget, we are still in a midterm election year, so a lot of uncertainty can still go on with the midterm elections. We still have talks of issues going on over in Ukraine and Russia. Anything can happen over there to move us one way or the other. Just things that I'm paying attention to. So other news that we had gotten out today is it looks like CATL has been given orders to come up with a larger battery pack for the Made in China Model Ys. So again, this isn't a confirmed rumor, but the size and dimensions that they were given, as Sawyer had confirmed, are the exact same size and dimensions of the Model X. So it looks like they're going with an extended wheelbase, which is the same size as the Model X. Don't know if, I don't think that means that they're going to have the Model X over there. I highly doubt that. But just going with an extended wheelbase means that, they could be pushing that platform over there and having the same similar platform. So again, we'll wait on more details on this, but there's still some interesting news coming in, and it looks like these are going to be released in the first half of 2023. And so now when it comes to the rest of the stock market, seems like the entire market, Gary Black was talking about this over on Twitter, seems like the entire market definitely looked like it was oversold. We saw quite a bit of a pullback. Tesla was outperforming the market for the last 2.5 weeks of September of the quarter, and it looks like the entire market was pulling down significantly more than it really should have been. So the 10-year Treasury came down significantly today. So that coming down ended up pushing the stock market higher. We had the S&P, the NASDAQ, all the indices were up over 2%. That is pretty significant. So we had these lower levels that we were paying attention to in the markets and all the indices. Those have bounced off of those and have started coming back up. Tesla, obviously being the outlier due to the delivery numbers, definitely significantly underperformed the market. It happens. So these are just the things we pay attention to going forward, and this is why the most important thing I always pay attention to with a company are the fundamentals. There's usually 4 pieces of information I look at. Fundamentals is always going to be number 1. Then I'm going to be looking at the news for the company and the sentiment around that. Then I pay attention to the macro environment because, as we have seen all year long, the macro environment can definitely shift the stock one way or another, especially in an environment that we are currently in. Then lastly, I do look at the charts, and we talk about the charts on here all the time, but based upon all the information that we have from the company for fundamentals and news, the macro, that's where I can kind of gauge based upon the charts where we could be moving one way or the other. So again, these are just the 4 pieces of information that I usually look at and try to put that puzzle piece together. Looking long term, this is what I am as a long-term investor. I am long-term, so I'm looking at the stock long-term. I'm holding the stock, and for me, as I've discussed before, because I don't have a lot of shares in my eyes, I just hit my 38th share today in my main portfolio. Very excited about that. But for me, I want to buy as many as I can for as little as possible. I don't have a lot of cash coming in at the moment, so any deals that I see out there mean that I can buy more for less. So my money that I can put in is going to afford me more. And I do it on a dollar cost average basis. I do add $25 every day. Today I did add those 3 extra shares. I bought one at $252, one at $248, and one at $244. I also added to my IRA. So between my 2 accounts, I am over 50 shares total now, but I am looking to get myself to 50 shares in my main portfolio alone by the end of the year. So any lower prices that we get means that that $25 I put in every day will buy me more. Anything extra that I add will buy me more shares. And again, share accumulation right now is the key for me, because that means that when we do go back to a bull market, I will have more shares that will grow even faster. And with the shares that I bought today, I did bring my cost basis down by $2, which was pretty awesome. So I'm now at exactly $265, which ironically is that level of resistance that we see going back up after we cross 245. So for me, that was pretty awesome. I like being in that $265 nice, perfectly even level right there. And in my portfolio, I now have 71% Tesla, and I've got 6% in cash. So I am still going to monitor, I am still going to add if we dip even lower, but I am now back to the point where I would like to add cash back to my portfolio and get myself back to 10% cash. This was my plan. I executed it exactly as I planned. I brought it down. I spent half of my cash at these levels that I was anticipating, and now I build up cash reserves again, and I wait for the next opportunity. This is how I have been doing it, not financial advice, but it has been working out very well for me over the course of this year. And now some pushback that we were getting about the deliveries and them not hitting their expectations, Gary Black had said it very well over on Twitter, discussing how when it comes to China in particular, the people in China are very particular about the prices that they pay, and they don't want to have to to pay more than they have to. So if they see an opportunity that they can purchase for less, they want to take advantage of that opportunity. So we are looking right now at a potential price drop coming over in China. This is something we had talked about many times before on here is, people were saying, hey, if demand is going to be coming down and they drop the prices down, that's going to bring demand up. It will in the long term, but initially, if people do see prices start to come down, people are going to wait, especially if Tesla's going to drop prices on a quick and regular basis. People will be like, well, I don't need a car right now, so I'm going to wait. And the demand will end up coming down because prices are coming down until we end up settling at a nice round price at the bottom and Tesla sticks with it, then the demand will pick back up again. That's how it's going to happen, and that's exactly what happened over in China. They're anticipating a price drop coming over there, so people just waited. They're just waiting for the price to come down because they want to get it at that lower price. That's really all this was. So again, there's not a demand problem, there's just a patience problem, and the people over there are very patient in waiting for these prices to come down. And today we got some analyst notes. We got Trip Chowdhury coming out saying that right now is a great buying opportunity on this dip, and he has a price target, and I don't know if this was incorrect or a typo, of $760. And yes, that is post-split. So $760 from Trip. We know he is very bullish on the stock and the company. So I need to get clarification to see if that is true. You guys can let me know in the comments below if maybe that was a typo. Does seem pretty high. I know on the keypad, 4 is right next to 7. So there's a chance that maybe that was a bit off. I don't know, but again, $760 from a very bullish guy could potentially be correct. Then we also got JP Morgan, who is pretty bearish on the stock, and even they went up on their price target from $137 to $153. So again, after delivery numbers coming in with missing expectations and a bearish analyst coming out with a higher price target, that's still pretty bullish. So overall today was basically as we expected. We knew it was going to fall somewhere between 5 and 10%. We ended up at 8.5% down. To me, not a big concern. Again, just looking at the charts, RSI is pushing low at that 30 mark. So if we do end up pulling a little bit lower, that's okay. We're most likely going to be getting a bounce coming soon. Again, we have been looking to form this head in the inverse head and shoulders pattern. This is exactly what we were looking at. We fill this gap, we can then start bouncing back up to form this head. These are just the things that I'm looking at on a day-to-day basis. So overall, not too bad for me. I made my buys. I heard from many of you in the comments below. Awesome $243 buys across the board. Tons of you guys between $243 and $250. I loved seeing all of that. You guys made some great buys today. And then the rest of you, some people had bought on Friday. Sophie, I know you did. Hey, it happens because guess what? If Tesla had beat over the weekend and they come out on Monday, we would have been significantly higher than we are today. So we do our due diligence, we make our choices, it happens. Again, long term, I think we are going to do extremely well, and all of these prices right now are going to look like steals in the future. So let me know in the comments below, how did you guys feel about today? I know many of you told me that you took advantage of these opportunities. I know some of you were talking about how disappointed you are with the stock performance. Again, we'll talk about it because this is something we've talked about before, just to get your emotions around it. And for me, I was always an emotional guy when it came to investing. So that's why I started to learn all of these little tricks that I use, because in doing so, I can keep my emotions out and I get excited for these red times versus getting emotionally distraught and then selling, because selling at these times when we're depressed, that's kind of what the market is looking for. They're looking for this capitulation. The capitulation is when retail investors finally fold and they sell out at these lower prices. That's when big money comes in and starts scooping them up. So that's what they're looking for. They're trying to make this happen. That's where we're at. But again, let me know where you guys stand on all of this and how you're feeling about it going forward. Thank you all so much for watching. I appreciate all of your support and feedback. If you have not subscribed, please do so down below. Sign yourself up for notifications. We do have a membership program and a Patreon. That's where I'm going to be sharing with all of you guys my price targets, my delivery and production forecasts, my valuation models, and a lot of educational videos that I'm going to start coming out with to teach you guys all the levels that I find and how I find all of them. We also have a Discord chat. That link is down in the description. And I am over on Twitter at OracleTim1. That's where I share all of my daily trades, all the Tesla information, and all of the stock market news as well. Thank you all so much. Have a great one.